the mic here.
All right. Well, we're recording right now, anyhow. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see.
So today we're doing a little bit different episode of the Ray and Nev Show. We have obviously Ray is here, but then we have someone else that we just don't know. Care to introduce yourself?
Well, we do know.
All right, we kind of know him.
Josh Gowar.
You know this is live.
Oh, this is live?
Yeah, this is live.
Yeah, it's live.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Josh Gowar from Groves Capital.
Okay. So Josh Gowar from Groves Capital. How long have you been with them?
I've actually only been with them for 7 months, but I've been working in lending almost 5 years.
He's trying to break our set.
Already, bro. He's been here for 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
But I've been working in lending for almost 5 years.
Okay, and how long have you guys known each other?
We're going on almost a year now.
3 years. What is this crap?
3 years? Damn, I know you for 3 years.
3 years, dude.
How is it 3 years? Well, you were... Okay. Lighthouse?
3 years, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Damn, it's been that long?
I think so.
That's crazy, right?
That is a long time. I didn't even know that, bro. You've been coming to this office that whole time? No way it was been since 21?
No. 21? No, 22. 22,
I don't know.
23, 24.
Let's call up Andreas and ask him.
Yeah,
He's the guy that
22.
introduced
It has to be 22.
Okay.
So,
22.
so 2 years going on 3 years now.
22, 23, and 24 because 24 is going.
So he's not wrong. All right. I want to jump into the questions though. So first question is for both of you guys. I don't know who wants to answer first.
Ladies first.
But all right,
Age
Josh.
before beauty.
Why did you choose to be a business builder instead of being an employee?
Well, I feel like the easiest easiest answer for me is because I actually worked as an employee in another line of work for a long time. And, that had its positives, but at the end of the day, I enjoy the flexibility.
What was it? What was it that you used to work in? What industry was it?
I used to sell telephone poles.
A lot of people, see, this is the thing. A lot of people are going to think, because of the way that I asked the question, that he was doing something different, like something weird. No, but for real, tell him.
I used to work in the nutrition, health, and wellness industry.
Absolutely.
There was a lot of flexibility in that industry, but at the end of the day, I always had to answer to somebody else. I always had a gun pointed at my head. I had a schedule. I always had a gun pointed at my head to hit a certain target every single month.
Now, were you management or?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why you had the target on your head.
You had certain, KPIs, key performance indicators you had to hit every quarter, and if you didn't hit them, you could potentially not get a bonus. There was just so many rules, and it was just at the end of the day, as well as you could do. I used to sell millions of dollars worth of products a month and a year, and at the end of the day, you're really only getting that much back, and someone else is getting that much back.
Well, someone else put up all the risks.
So how do you feel that kind of transitioned you into being a business builder now?
Also, going back really quickly, I also did work for a lot of startup companies where the starting risk was maybe that much, and I helped build their brand into something huge. And at the end of the day, I still got very little for that.
Well, in reality, yes, you're absolutely right. The risk is this small, or this small or this big, it's still risk that you didn't have to take on, that they took on.
For sure.
So that's why you got that portion. Like right now, okay, you took on all the risk. So should you get the larger portion or should you get the smaller portion?
Larger, absolutely.
And you're getting the larger portion, all right? Okay, there you go. So we're on the same page. I just want to make sure we set that right straight. Because I truly believe entrepreneurs, they're the lifeblood of America, of any country that.
Any capitalist country.
Any country, period. Even if you're not capitalistic. If you look at socialist countries, their top-notch guys are their capitalistic-minded entrepreneurs.
So this question actually goes back to Ray now. So then why did you choose to be a business builder over being an employee?
It was weird. For me, I was okay with being an employee. I didn't have any issues with being an employee. And, making bonus, not making bonus, none of that, because I never, in many of the fields, many of the business that I work outside of the Orlando Center, which I worked there for 10 years, I didn't have any managerial positions. I was just another one of the staff members.
Soldiers.
So yeah, and I was okay with the soldier. And in every single company that I worked at, I went from the bottom up. So I always felt like you have to earn your respect. And the same thing, obviously, when I became an entrepreneur, it was the same thing. I went from being an agent to becoming a manager to becoming a broker. So I've always followed that chain of command because I feel that's where you earn the most respect that you're going to get. And I feel that, why did I choose? I didn't choose. Let's just be clear at that. I never chose to become an entrepreneur. I kind of fell into it because I worked for a guy who taught me one thing is you can be two types of entrepreneurs. You can be a hero entrepreneur or you can be a villain entrepreneur. And because of that, I noticed he was the villain and I wanted to become the hero in his story. And it ended up being that I became a hero in my own story. So that's how I became an entrepreneur.
Okay.
In the real estate realm. It happened in real estate.
Okay. So we know Josh has been self-employed for 7 years now. What about yourself?
It's long, man. It's long. Got a long road ahead. I've been probably close to 20 years now. I think I'm going on like 17 years. So you figure back from 06 to now, what is that?
You don't work for another broker in New York?
No, didn't work for a broker. I didn't work for anybody in New York in regards to real estate. I worked at Display Systems. Now, when I moved here as a high schooler, senior, and then I started working for a broker in my early 30s, late 20s. So close to 20 years.
Okay. So question for both of you again. So do you come from a family of entrepreneurs, business owners?
I would say yes and no because my dad is a mechanic in Puerto Rico. He owns his own shops in Puerto Rico. So I guess based on that, I could say that. But he's a mechanic that just decided to, he worked at several mechanic shops and then decided to go into business for himself and built his own shop. So I guess that part of it. My mom worked all her life in different businesses, but never in the entrepreneurial field. What about you, Josh?
So it's kind of mixed in my family. I have some people that work for big businesses, and then some people that actually started their own companies. But
we're talking about your immediate family, Josh. I'm not talking about. Let's expand on everyone.
I'm talking about my dad, my grandpa, my uncle.
Okay, dad.
Dad worked for big banks.
Okay, uncle.
Uncle started his own business and company.
Awesome.
Grandfather worked for a big company.
Got it. Okay, just want to make sure. I don't want your third cousin from your mom's side.
I mean, I don't know about your 18th cousin from San Juan or something like that.
Okay.
So would you say that you came from money, Josh?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Give us a little bit of insight on your.
He has a house in Winter Park.
Give us some insight on your family life.
Wait, before he does that, I just want to touch on the fact that how could you not come from money and have a house in Winter Park? I'm just throwing that out.
We got a really good deal on that house, like back in the day. I mean, like 25 years ago or something.
25 years ago.
Something like that. Long
Winter Park. Okay, so you know the history of Winter Park, right? So Winter Park was where other, city government officials would literally come to buy their vacation homes there. So, so that's why it was called Winter Park.
Just so everyone else knows too, that if you're really juiced into that community in Winter Park from back in the days, unless you lived on the lake, you were considered poor. So unless you live on the lake in Winter Park, you're not considered part of the high society. You're basically considered every other person walking down the street.
All jokes aside, we understand that there's other demographics in Winter Park, but your house is in a nice neighborhood. That's all I have to say. Continue. So you were gonna ask Josh a question? You said.
Yeah. So the question was, did you come from money? Like, what's some insight on
I would say I came from a good family, but
middle class, probably.
I would say middle class, and I learned the value of hard work from the time I was in high school up.
Okay.
I would say I came from
projects.
We weren't poor. We were in the projects, but we were from the nice side of the projects. My friend JC, he lived in Edgemere, right? So he considers my projects like the luxury projects. Projects are projects. I don't care what you say, especially in New York City. But I would say I came from a working class family, not very high, but my dad did the best he could do, and he did a great job, and he showed us work ethic, and we were able. So yeah, we didn't come from money, but doesn't mean we're not going to end up
Okay.
in
So
the land of the free, home of the brave, where
absolutely.
the American dream actually still exists.
So with that type of upbringing, obviously your parents they worked in banking. You were middle class. You were kind of, I want to say, maybe lower middle class,
Yeah.
because you weren't in poverty, right?
No. We have food on the table. There's people that were worse off than we.
So growing up, you always had that dream of kind of like wanting more. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. So for me, it was more about trying to get the hell out. So I grew up in a neighborhood where you had to fend for yourself, and there was always a lot of different obstacles in your way, a lot of things that were very, I look at it today and I'm like, man, I went through that. That's crazy. So, I've seen shootouts, I've seen fights, I've seen people get killed. I grew up in a neighborhood where, people would beat you up for your hat. So yeah, so I just wanted to get out of it, and I definitely not give that kind of life to my children. So that was my reasoning for wanting to get out. What about you, Josh?
I would say
Why did you want to get out of Winter Park? Just
why are they? First off, I just want to ask a question: Is why are they always hating on me? Why are they always hating?
Well, no one's hating on you.
Why are they always hating?
No, but for real, all jokes aside.
Some people come from certain zip codes, and that's all I can say.
Okay, all right. But what were you saying?
Listen, I had a lot of really strong male business leadership around me growing up, and it was always kind of implanted in me to trying to get into some type of business and just be super successful and just
What motivates you?
what motivates me now. Well, what motivates me now is also, one, helping people, two, also the financial aspect, and then three, just my personal beliefs is I feel like God calls me to just do the best I can, and as a side effect of doing the best I can, also helps others to be the best they can as well.
So with all of that said, becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a business builder, obviously your income isn't guaranteed anymore. At any point, were you fearful of not having that, like every month you knew how much you were going to be making?
Every single day.
I was going to say, I'll put my hand up on that one.
Every single day, right?
Yeah.
So I always say that you wake up every day at zero. You have to do that. You have to, and you go into the store and you open up shop, and then you have to either drive people to that store or you have to go out and bring the people to that store. Either way, you have to build that business. That business doesn't build itself. And if you do it well enough, long enough, then the business will start coming to the store for you. Like you no longer have to go out looking for it. It actually will come knocking. So, but yeah, super fearful, especially when you go from getting a paycheck every Friday to, okay, you're not going to get a paycheck till you close the deal. Funny story though, before you go. So I got my first commission check. I blew it, the whole thing, within 3 days, thinking that I was still living the Friday to Friday mentality. And I was like, man, this is the biggest check I've ever gotten in 1 week, which it was literally 30 days worth of work, but I didn't understand that. I didn't have the mindset yet, which I always tell people, when you level up, you always get the bottom of the next level. You got to work your way up so you get to the top and then level up again. And I was way at the bottom, like beyond the bottom. I was like literally touching the level below me. And then I still tried to do something when I leveled up that I was like, and it was crazy because I had done it before and I didn't capture myself until you actually reflect. So when I was reflecting, I was like, okay, things need to change. I can't spend $3,000 in 3 days. That just can't happen. What about you?
So same question for you, Josh.
Well, actually, something I wanted to tag on with his example of having the store is that a lot of times even you can have people come in the store, start shopping, start putting things in their basket, and then just
Never
maybe get to the
check out.
cash register and just drop all their stuff and just be like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, never check out. Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, isn't that for every type of industry? There's always going to be shoppers. There are people who are going to come through. They're going to look. They're going to shop around, but they might not buy.
Sometimes it can be just a little bit more complicated in real estate lending because the average length of our transaction is about 30 days, sometimes longer. Whereas in other industries, it could just be like an impulse buy. Like someone's going to buy it, okay, 5 seconds, no problem, they're ringing up.
Yeah, but the majority of people, you have to understand that the majority of successful real estate agents and successful loan officers, they're going to have enough business in the air to where when one or two drop, it's not affecting them. So getting to that level is extremely hard, very difficult. But once you get there, maintaining it is even harder. And then building around it is even harder than that. So like I said, once again, at every phase, every level of the game, you're at the bottom of that level. You have to kind of like, you build the foundation at the beginning, right? So the foundation is, let me go get a deal a month, right? Then that foundation goes to 2 deals, 3 deals, 4 deals, whatever, until you get to about 5 or 6 deals a month. And then you go higher than that. Once you've built that solid foundation, now you're going to the next level, right? So you built the first foundation on 1 deal. When you get to 2 deals and you're leveling up, right? You have to make sure the foundation on that second level is already set really strong. Same thing when you build a team. When you level up to the team size, you have to make sure that the business that you're acquiring from the previous level that you're bringing up to the next level builds enough of a foundation so that your team is doing well as well. So those are a lot of things that you have to juggle in the air. And the more deals you can bring to the table, I always say deals calm all ill will, right? So if someone's hurting, a deal's going to bring them back. And it doesn't have to be 30 deals, just 1 deal alone can bring them back to life to continue moving forward until the point where they're at 2, 3 consistently. Once you get to that level, it just really depends at that point how big you want to get or how big you want to grow. That's how I see it.
Okay. Before we move on, I want to go back to the question for Josh. So, are there ever times where you feel fearful as far as like what's happening this coming month? What's my income going to look like for next month?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like when I was younger and kind of first getting into this, I'd be like hysterical. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got no ideas. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Whereas now I feel like I've developed a little bit more strength aptitude to just not being like knee jerk towards it. But even with that, if I know my pipeline's looking weak, I'll just be like, okay, I need to go out there. I got to go hunting. I got to go do something.
So that goes back to the concept of fight or flight, right? So back then you were the flight guy. You were like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah, I'd be freaking
as
out.
Opposed to fight. Now you're in the fight concept. So your mindset has grown from previous experiences. And I'll tell you this business, whether you're in lending or whether you're in real estate, does make you build tough skin. Let me tell you. I mean, this is Gator right here. You know what I'm saying? It's rough.
So I want to say maybe piggybacking off of that previous question. If you could do anything in the world, anything, and you know you wouldn't fail, what would it be?
And I knew I wouldn't fail?
Yes.
I think I would still do what I'm doing now.
I would definitely just still do what I'm doing now.
But what I want to do is I want to build the biggest real estate company in the industry and in the United States and international. Right now, the number 1 company out there just had. By the way, I know this is not part of what we're talking about, but I want to just highlight something that people don't realize, right? And one of the things is I read an article today that said that 150 agents made $1 million at this company, right?
In Florida?
No, in general, like the whole company it's the largest real estate company in the world.
In the world or like
in the world?
U.S. national?
No, in the world, internationally as well. They're the number 1 company, and only 150 agents have made $1 million off of their profit share program. Only 150 agents. Only 150, and they have over hundreds of thousands of agents. So I was saying to myself, okay, will our rev share plan, right? Because keep in mind, I want to create big, right? I want to create number 1 company. How quick can my rev share, our rev share plan here, get my agents to $1 million. How quick can that happen? And when you look at how many millionaires are made through the rev share plan when they get to that certain level, there's so many millionaires going down the line that we would probably, this is 150 in the lifetime of the company.
In the lifetime of the
In
company.
the lifetime of the company. So they were paying away.
How long has that company been around?
Over 20 years, I would say, probably, right? More than 20 years. If we get to 20 years, I guarantee you we'll probably, if we grow to their size, we'll have over 100,000 people that are making at least $1 million. Over 100,000 because of our rev share plan. And that's what I want to do. And I know if I wouldn't fail, I would just keep pushing to do that. What about you?
For me, I feel like that's still kind of like a big question to think about because I feel like I still have a lot of growing to do in my career and my life. So, I mean, Rey is a little bit older than me, and he's been around a little bit longer, so I feel like he has a better idea. So I feel like I still have a little bit more growing to do.
He acts like I'm 10 years, 20 years older than him. I'm only like 3 years older than him.
He's like 15 years older than me. Like, what is this?
What, 15?
You're like 15 years older than me.
What are you, 25?
You're like 15 years older than me.
How old are
You
you?
ain't 40? What is this crap?
I am 40.
You're not 40 years old. Get out of here.
How old are you?
So wait, what year were you born?
1970.
1970. There you go. Right out the gates. He just failed. 1970 something. You ain't 30. You ain't 40. You're like way over 40.
1977.
You just failed.
1977. 47 years old.
Exactly.
You ain't 26.
I'm 37, boy.
There you go.
I'm 37.
That's only 10 years. You said 15.
Can you count?
37 and 47. Can you count? That's
First you said 40. Now all of a sudden it's 40.
No, I said I'm in my 40s.
First you said 40. Now it's 47.
Well, the camera will say.
You got your driver's license and social security card on you?
I do.
So back to our question before we start trading social security numbers. If you could do anything and not fail, Josh, what would it be?
I would keep working in lending, and I would either pivot and have my own company, or I would just keep growing my territory to whatever level I felt like I would be able to benefit the most.
What's that level?
Either regional or national.
Okay. Would you ever want to, if you go national, where would you go?
I mean, it's complicated because then I know as a part of that, I'd also have to have that team behind me. I'd have to have that solid team, operationally speaking, compliance speaking, regulatory, closing. I mean, it's just a huge plan I would need to have.
You think you think that you've leveled up high enough to if that opportunity was to present itself, you would be ready for it?
I want to say yes because I feel like one of the most famous entrepreneurs out there, Richard Branson, says that if you're given the right opportunity, even if you don't know how to do it right then and there in that moment, just say yes and figure it out as you go.
Work as hard as you can to make that happen.
So would you say that if you couldn't fail, basically it's not all monetary, or is there a dollar amount attached to it, or is it more about legacy?
I think it's legacy.
I feel like I know Rey's answer, but
it is. For me, it's the same thing. It's legacy. Money never moved me. I'm okay with making a lot of money. I'm okay with making little money. But it's the impact that I leave on the world and on the people around me is more important to me than money. So to me, it's legacy.
Right. Next question. What does being self-employed mean to you?
I'll give you my short, funny answer. I'd say I gave up a 9 to 5 to work 9 to 10. So self-employed means to me that I get the freedom, which people don't really understand this. They misconstrue the idea of freedom. The freedom that you get is the freedom to do. I'll give you a perfect example. I tell everybody, I've never missed any of my kids' events at all. And the reason why is because I have the freedom to get up and walk out whenever I want to. And that freedom to me is worth every penny. whether I lose a deal, whether I don't go to this listing appointment, or I don't take that listing appointment for that day because I know I have something. But those things I don't miss out on. I've been to events for my children where I feel so bad for some of the kids that are looking around for a parent, and that not one of them are there. It's not. It's neither she nor neither the mom or the dad are there. And to me, that's a sad moment because I lived that moment. I lived that moment where, my parents were not able to, and I totally understand. Some of these kids, they understand because their mom and dad has to work. They work for an employer who they have to show up at a certain schedule. I have that ability to do that. So to me, it was never about the money. It was always about the freedom to be able to do those things for my family and with my family.
Awesome.
What about you?
Well, for me, I would say the flexibility aspect is a similar thing that I love to have, but it's
So the fact that you wake up late, and just
or wake up super early, or work super late, or stay up super late. Yes, but also it's you have to have that initiative and drive to know that if you don't go out there and perform, just like Ray and I both work for a brand and organization, but at the end of the day, if we don't go out there and get it, no one is going to do it for us. No one is holding a gun to our head. No one is going to say, okay, well, you effed up. No one is going to say that. It's going to be 100% on the sweat of our backs to get it done or not get it done.
Yep, absolutely. That being said, what time you come in today, Josh?
Well, I was actually working from home ahead of time, and I've actually come in every day for the last week, and I haven't seen this guy in almost 2 weeks, so I don't know.
2 weeks working out there, making things happen.
Moving furniture?
I mean, in real estate, you don't make money in the office.
You don't.
But so I feel like I know the answer to this question for you, Ray, but for Josh, did you build your business like on your own, or did you have a team behind you?
Well, I've definitely had a lot of help along the way with certain referral partners that I have now and in the past. But and I always had I had some very interesting teachers throughout my career that I feel like either showed me the right way of doing things or the right way of not doing things.
Yeah.
And but I've always had certain teammates. I've had like solid processing teams, closers. Even right now,
Jen was wonderful.
Yeah, my processor Jen, she's amazing. Even my regional manager I work with, based out of San Diego, his name's Lance. He's amazing. He's just like a walking loan encyclopedia. Like he just remembers every single guideline. So yeah, I've definitely had a very strong team, especially this year.
For me, when I started my career, I started on a team. So to me, it's always going to be the team aspect. I always believe that, we were talking about LeBron James earlier today and all the accomplishments he's had. He's no Michael Jordan, but he has accomplished a lot of things. I want to make that clear. The GOAT is still Michael Jordan. But the one thing I would say is if you look at it, whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's LeBron James, Leo Messi, or whatever sport you follow, they're not going to win the soccer game or the basketball game by themselves. They have to have a team. So to me, building a strong team was always key. Like I always wanted to have a strong team, people that I can, instill knowledge in and let them go out there and flourish the way they want to be. Because remember, we all have different visions, but if all those visions can align us to the same purpose, then it'll just be this amazing growth. But team to me is more important than anything else. I think it's the strongest thing that you can have, and having a strong team automatically takes you to the next level right away.
And also to tag on that, sometimes having that strong team doesn't always, maybe it's not always someone that necessarily works with you, but maybe it's someone that you go to just talk to help encourage you when you're having a bad day.
Yeah, that's true too.
All right, guys, 2 more questions. These 2 are a little bit more personal, right? The first one, not as much. So, what's one piece of advice you want to leave us with?
If you want to do anything great, make sure that 1, you're ready to put in the work, and 2, figure out a way to duplicate yourself the fastest way possible, because that's how you're going to be able to scale in anything you do, whether it's in business, whether it's in a foundation, whether it's trying to, anything that you want to do, whether it's build homes for the homeless, anything that you want to do in life. If you're really good at what you're doing, make sure that you are figuring out a way to duplicate yourself, pour into people, so that when you duplicate yourself, they're not only duplicating your skills, but they're duplicating your character, the trustworthiness. If you're a good person, obviously, if you're a bad person, then if you duplicate yourself, then oh hell no. But if you're a good person and you do that, then you're gonna bring a lot of more leaders to the world, and that's pretty much it. Just learn to duplicate yourself and do it as quick as possible. That's gonna take you to what I would consider the promised land.
What about you, Josh? One piece of advice.
So I would say that my advice would be to anybody in any industry would be to identify what your vision and what your calling is in life. And that once you identify what that vision and that calling is, to go after it wholeheartedly. Because I feel like once you do that, you'll just be completely undoubtedly sure of this, what I'm doing is the right thing, of what I should be doing and what I want to be doing in life. And then you should be unstoppable.
Okay. And then this question is similar. What's one piece of advice you will give to your kids?
Everybody says, follow your dreams, right? And to me, one key advice that I would give to my children is love yourself first. The rest will fall into place.
And Josh, I know you don't have any kids yet, but what's one piece of advice you might have gotten when you were a kid,
or when you want to instill on your kids? And finally do that.
Well, what I was thinking was, as quickly as I could, I would say something along the lines of understanding how some things can be very easy and some things can be very tough and very ugly at times. And just trying to create some sort of illustration of that, because I think even when I was younger, it took me a little while to figure that out.
For real, so
can you go a little bit deeper in that?
Yeah, please.
Like unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna confuse the crap out of me.
The easiest example I can use is growing up in Florida and playing football, especially right when I got into high school, and I remember one time being like 13 or 14, complaining about the heat, and something one of my coaches said to me has stuck with me my whole life, which I was like complaining, oh, it's hot outside. And my coach was like, Josh, what the hell's wrong with you? It's Florida. It's supposed to be hot. So then from that point on, I'm just like, the rest of my life, no matter how hot it gets outside, I'm like, it's Florida. It's supposed to be hot. Like even right now, it's boiling outside. And I'm like, it's Florida. It's supposed to be hot.
It's been hot the last few days, though. It's crazy.
Yeah. But ever since I learned that from that guy, 20 years ago or so, it just stuck with me. And so basically that understanding that our climate where we live is supposed to have a certain degree of suffering to it, it just ingrained it in me.
Suffering?
Yeah.
Listen, so I was reading an article the other day that says that vitamin D is good for you.
Absolutely.
So that suffering comes with a great
some people get a suntan too.
I don't know those people.
So that actually brings two thoughts into my mind, right? Whereas a spider web is a home for a spider, right? It's comfort for a spider, but it's chaos for the fly. So really it's suffering depending on what type of person you are.
Yeah.
Right? That same, it's hot out here and it's too sunny, to the tree that's just now growing or blossoming, that's paradise for it, right?
Yep. And
then the second thought is, it's not supposed to be easy. Great things in life is not supposed to be easy.
I always have this thing. I always say, if it was easy to do this, we'll all be lazy and fat, because it was easy.
If it was easy, greatness would be for everybody.
Erasing greatness is not.
A movie, I know, Ray, you watch a lot of movies, and you remember them like nothing. So you might remember this, right? And I can't remember it.
What was it about?
It has Leonardo DiCaprio in it, right? And no.
Which one?
and he plays Achilles.
No, that's Brad Pitt. Dude.
That was Brad Pitt. Okay, Brad Pitt is in it.
Troy.
Troy, yes, Troy. When he's supposed to go and fight, who does he fight? The huge guy.
Oh, well, like in the beginning of the movie?
Yes.
I don't think the huge guy had a name.
But so the kid is like, oh, I wouldn't want to fight him.
Oh, and that's
and the kid looks down on him. He looks down on him and said, and that's why no one would remember your name. And then after he kills the giant, the king is like, bring me whoever that is, bring me to him. And he does, and he's like, what's your name? And he says it's Achilles, and he said that's why everybody will remember your name. So it's not supposed to be easy if it's going to be something great.
I totally agree with that. I agree with that. My biggest thing too is, in order for your name to be remembered, legacy upon legacy upon years, for you to get into history books and stuff like that, you have to create an accomplishment that actually has made a change in the world, right? Like right now, we talk about Steve Jobs. He's been gone for more than 10 years, right? But the reason why is he made a change. He made a huge change in the world. He took all these devices and he put them into this one device. Now, funny story about that is he didn't do it. He just had the vision to do it. And he brought the people together to do it. And he will always be remembered as the guy that created the iPhone, right? So I think in regards to having that long legacy, you have to do something great. You know, when you build a business, let's say we build the Rosa to the level that we want to grow it. You know, there's going to be fabric of who Rey Zapata was in that story. You know, so my story will continue on as long as the company does. Even though I didn't build the company, right? I know it sucks that nobody understands who Steve Wozniak is, but I know who he is because I did the research. He's the legend. He's actually the builder of the computer. So
he's the guy that Steve Jobs bought the computer from for $20,000, right?
No, he's the guy that created the computer with Steve Jobs. He was one of Steve Jobs' best friends, and he was the one that, you know, was building the computer. And when he was building it, Steve Jobs was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Yeah, I connected my computer to my TV." How did you do that? And then he ended up showing him. He's like, "Can we build these?" He's like, "Yeah." And he sold their first computer. Didn't even have anything. It was just the motherboard with a keyboard and a mouse, and you would just connect that to your TV, or you would get a TV, and then he says the next cell order will have the hardware, the additional hardware, the TV and all that. And then the personal computer was created. Then from there, which they already existed, right? IBM had it, but the Macintosh came out. Then from there, he continued to innovate, you know. And if you look at people like, what will Mark Zuckerberg be known for the rest of his life? He was the person that brought Meta, Facebook, you know, and he bought Instagram, right? So, but Instagram was an inspiration of what Facebook was doing. So you got those guys, you know, Bill Gates, Microsoft. He will always exist even after he's gone. You know, these are people that are going to build legacies that they've cemented for, I would say, probably centuries. They will exist as long as something doesn't come along that knocks it out. You know, like right now, there's probably kids nowadays that don't know what Kodak is, right? It was a camera, right? And it was a camera, and it was film, and you would take it in and get it developed. And there's still people that develop, but now they're not developing off of a camera roll; they're developing off of a phone roll. You know, it's crazy.
You know, they sell actually digital cameras now, so you can have vintage photos.
Yeah.
So I was watching like a TV show from when I was in college, and
my daughter has one. They take the picture and it comes out little.
And then I remember they had like one of the video cameras back then. It was like this big, and you know, do you remember like back then if you had one of those, you'd be like, man, that was like $2,000 or something. It was so expensive. Like,
so the funny story that you say that. So my mom's birthday was July 17th, and she passed away. So my sister calls me up. She's like, "Hey, are we gonna do something for my mom's birthday?" I said, "Sure." And she goes, and I said, "Why don't we come over to the house? We'll make dinner."
Oh man, pause. I don't mean to interrupt you. There's no more Red Lobster.
Yes.
Oh man.
So
but you can still buy the biscuits at Publix, though.
That was my mom's favorite. Oh, I got to tell you the story about Red Lobster, but I'll tell you in a minute. So anyway, so we ended up, and I know that store. I know that reminds you because that was my mom's favorite restaurant. But we ended up cooking my favorite dish, right? Because nobody eats Eric's favorite dish that my mom used to make. But we made my favorite dish.
Mofongo?
No, it was rice, beans, and chicken cutlets. My brother's was eggplant parmesan, believe it or not. But anyway.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, I didn't like it. So we made it, and then we started passing around photos. And one of the photos of my mom is my mom holding one of those big old video cameras over her shoulder, recording, and somebody took a picture with her with the camera. And that's why it reminded me when you said it. That's funny. Those things are heavy. Like, we would still walk around and record with those things. Like, it would take them. But going back to Red Lobster, so you know the Red Lobster story, and we'll let our people go after this one.
No, I don't know.
The Red Lobster story. You ready for this? Red Lobster failing was actually intentional. So two companies, right? So company number one bought Red Lobster, right?
Dart?
No, from Dart.
Okay.
Brought Red Lobster because of they wanted the property that Red Lobster sits
All
on.
the commercial.
They wanted all the commercials, so they bought the company, right? Then they turned around and they
Bankrupted?
they didn't do anything to service it. They just bought it and let it run itself to the ground. And obviously they got bad managers because it went pretty fast. Then they went ahead and had a sister company that they owned, and they bought the shrimp from that company, right, at this extravagant amount where they could have got shrimp cheaper from somewhere else. So that now it took all their cash flow and it bankrupted the company, right? Well, the company that they bought the shrimp from, they owned as well. So now they got the commercial spaces, and they transferred all that wealth to their shrimp company, who was doing successful, and sold them, the worst shrimp, like the worst, like the ones that they reject from
the all you can eat shrimp was that shrimp.
Yes.
It was
coming out of a can.
A little bit of background on the shrimp company. They owned a huge seafood company, and they would actually supply seafood for like high end places. And the shrimp that they were selling to Red Lobster was actually shrimp that was not high enough grade to sell to these other restaurants.
Quality as the high end restaurant.
Yep.
So that's messed up. So they did that, and they have kept a couple locations open. My aunt just went and visited one of the locations. But that's business for you. I mean, that's business 101. Let's make things happen by doing that. And the companies both profited from a failing business. So that just goes to show one.
But you can still buy their biscuits at Publix.
I mean, that's literally
We love the excitement that you have for the biscuits, Josh.
I'm just trying to help him out.
We didn't go for the biscuits, Josh.
Okay.
All right, guys. I want to thank both of you guys for actually coming on to this episode of the Rey and Nev Show. Obviously, we did it a little bit different than usual, and
I do behind the camera.
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit like a Vlad TV. We might have to cut this part out. We can't give free shout outs, but we're just like every time we say his name. But yeah, thank you guys. Is there anything you want to add before we head out? Maybe Josh, you want to let us know how we can actually get in contact with you?
Oh, okay. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Neville. If anyone has any questions regarding lending, please feel free to shoot me a call or text at my cell at 954-547-2076, and I'd love to be able to assist you in any way I can.
And I can attest to you that he is one of the best in the field for his time frame in the business, and you guys will not be let down because he can figure some stuff out. I'll tell you that. So
thank you so much.
And Ray, if anybody wants to start building their business within the real estate realm, how can we get in contact with you?
Well, they can always contact me on my cell, 407-288-7384.
Maybe they can stop by.
They can stop by here at our office where our studio is. And one thing I would tell them is, just come and have a conversation. Come see the La Rosa difference. And I guarantee you will not be disappointed. And one of the things I will say, and I'll just do it for this episode and only this episode. If you watch this episode and you decide to call me, say that you saw this episode, and the keyword's going to be, what should we use as a keyword? What should we use?
Red Lobster.
Red Lobster.
Red Lobster. If you say to me Red Lobster, and you come and sit down with me and you can prove to me that your company makes you more money than I can make you, I will give you $1,000. All right. So the first person to do that
In real estate, though.
in real estate, yeah, you have to be in real estate. You have to be wanting to. I don't care if you're a top producer or a non-producer. You come to me.
So active license.
Yes, you have to have an active license. Absolutely. You come to me. We sit down. I'll show you what we can do. If it doesn't work, if your company can do it better, I'm more than happy to give you $1,000. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, Nav, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. Absolutely.